The winds have howled for too long. You've stood in the downpour of life, soaked to the bone by disappointments, unanswered prayers, and the silence that makes you wonder if heaven even hears you. But in the stillness between the thunderclaps, a voice rises not outside you but from within. It's not your voice, but it's deeply familiar. It's strong, unshakable, and filled with light. It is I, Archangel Michael, and I tell you now, the storm is ending. You may not yet see the calm skies, but trust this truth. Storms don't last forever. You've been in a cycle of shedding, purging, and deep soul awakening. What seemed like destruction was actually divine reconstruction. The foundation of your spirit had to be revealed so heaven could build something that would never fall again. You were never abandoned. I was beside you when you wept alone, shielding your soul from forces you didn't even know were pressing in. While the earth trembled beneath you, I anchored your energy to the light of the divine. Not because you were weak, but because you were so deeply called. This journey hasn't been about surviving the storm. It's been about remembering who you are while inside of it. And even when everything around you said, "Give up," your spirit kept whispering, "Just hold on." That whisper was the breath of the divine moving through you. And now, as the darkness lifts, your faith is being crowned not for being perfect, but for enduring. You see, faith is not the absence of fear. Faith is the decision to stand anyway. And you stood, tired, uncertain, maybe even angry, but still. You stood. You didn't let the pain harden you. You didn't let the unanswered questions turn you bitter. That choice right there is why the heavens rejoice. That's why the shift is happening. You have crossed an invisible threshold. Energetically, the tides have turned. The suffering you endured has created a sacred opening in the realm of spirit. Miracles are now free to move. But you must stay anchored. Don't get swept into distraction.
Oh.
Don't abandon your center now that peace is returning, because faith isn't just for the storm, it's for the stillness that follows too. It's in the quiet after the chaos that your soul hears the instructions for the next chapter. And I promise you, beloved, what's coming next will justify everything you went through. There were moments you begged for release, you asked for signs, for angels, for the pain to just stop. I heard every cry. Not one prayer floated into emptiness. Held close to the heart of God, and from that sacred storehouse, the blessings are now being poured. Not just random gifts, but targeted healing, deeply personal, customized for your soul's journey. You're not going to have to chase your purpose. Your purpose is already on its way to find you. But to receive it fully, you must trust the clearing. You must let go of the identity that formed in survival. That version of you, the one built to withstand the storms, served its purpose. But now, a softer, truer self is emerging. And I'm inviting you to meet them. The you that doesn't brace for impact. The you that believes in beauty again. The you that doesn't just expect struggle, but expects favor. It's safe to become. Them, the war you thought was never going to end, is fading. The spiritual battle is giving way to a divine alignment that is impossible to miss. And as the clouds roll away, something else emerge. Clarity. What once confused you now becomes obvious. People who once drained your energy now seem so far removed from your vibration. Choices that once felt impossible now appear illuminated with certainty. That's not coincidence. Your spiritual receptors are activating, clearing out the static and receiving pure divine frequency again. You're being tuned into your higher path. Do not let the aftershocks of the storm make you doubt the truth. Just because the wind howled yesterday doesn't mean it will howl tomorrow. Don't brace for another collapse. Instead, anchor into peace. Breathe into the safety of now. And know that I, Archangel Michael, have never left your side. The lies that came for your mind in the dark, the whispers that said you were unworthy, forgotten, broken, those weren't your thoughts. They were frequencies from a lower realm, desperate to distort your truth. But the storm purified your hearing. Now, you can tell now what's divine and what's deception, and that discernment will serve you in the days to come. Let this be your holy confirmation. You passed the test. The cycle is complete. The storm did not break you. It birthed you, and now stay anchored in faith, not because you're trying to survive, but because you're ready to thrive. Asterisk, and so now. As the first rays of light pierce through the storm clouds, you may feel a strange kind of quiet. Not silence, in a hollow way, but a sacred stillness, a deep exhale from the soul. This is the pause between what was and what will be. Do not rush through it. Do not fill it with noise. This is where your spirit integrates the healing. This is where your faith becomes embodied. Many of you have grown used to the turbulence, unknowingly building your identity around the chaos. But I am here to help you unlearn the patterns born from pain, because you are not your trauma. You are not your past. You are not the person who always has to fix everything, hold everything, carry everyone. That was necessary in the storm. But now you are being called into ease, to trust, into the frequency of grace. This is a holy invitation. Let yourself feel safe again. I know that part of you is cautious. You've been hurt before by temporary calm. Times when you thought the worst was over, only to be pulled back under. But this is different. This is not a trick from the universe. This is the shift your soul has been preparing for since before you were born. The inner work you've done has altered your vibration. The bigger miracle is this: you're not the same person who entered it. You are spiritually upgraded. Your heart is more open, even if it's scarred. Your discernment is sharper, your connection to the divine more intimate, your purpose more defined. The illusion of separation has begun to crack. Through that crack, the light of truth is pouring in. Can you feel it? That gentle warmth on your chest when you pause, and knowing that everything somehow, some way is beginning to make sense. Not because it all went your way, but because it all grew your soul. The pain served its higher purpose, because distractions will come. The world will try to pull you back into survival mode. Fear will knock, pretending it has something urgent to say, but you do not have to answer. You've outgrown those frequencies. You're not meant to just get by anymore. You're meant to live with divine fullness. You're meant to create from alignment, to speak from clarity, to move with confidence that you are guided every single step of the way. I am with you, even in the smallest choices. I whisper to your heart in ways you may not always understand, but can always feel. That sudden moment of peace, that unexplained burst of strength, that comforting sensation in your chest when you pray. Those are not accidents. Those are reminders that the spiritual realm is closer than your breath, that heaven is not far away, it's within and all around you. You're entering a season where that truth will become more real than ever. The storm was necessary to strip away the illusion, and now that it's lifting, your vision is returning. You can see who you are with new eyes. You can see what matters and what never really did. You can recognize what was sent to bless you and what was sent to test you. Your soul is wise now, not just from books or teachings, but from lived revelation. That's the kind of wisdom no one can take from you. And from that wisdom, you will rebuild. Not from striving, but from flow. Not from fear, but from sacred knowing. The people you're meant to meet will arrive. The doors you're meant to walk through will open. The opportunities that were delayed will catch up to you. It's not as payback, but as divine timing fulfilled. But I must remind you, don't go back to who you had to be to survive. You don't need that armor anymore. You're safe to be soft. You're safe to rest. You're safe to believe that miracles don't just happen to others, they happen for you. 2. Stay anchored in that. When the mind drifts into doubt, return to your breath. When fear creeps in, place your hand over your heart and say, I am not alone. Because you're not. I am here, and I always will be. Call on me. Not just in emergencies, but in daily life. Let me walk beside you as your protector, your friend, your reminder that love always wins. The storm tried to convince you that you were powerless. But here you are, still standing, still breathing, still loving. That is power. And now, your power is no longer hidden. It's rising. Heaven is not asking you to have all the answers. Heaven is simply asking you to trust the unfolding. You've already passed through the hardest part. Now comes the divine restoration. But you must stay grounded in your faith, not because you're still fighting, but because you're finally receiving. Receiving peace, receiving joy, receiving direction, receiving yourself, your true self, at last. There is a rhythm to divine healing. It doesn't shout, doesn't rush. It moves like a river, steady, sure, and faithful. You're being pulled into that rhythm now, even if your mind still wants to brace for chaos. That's okay. It takes time to trust peace again when you've grown accustomed to struggle. But I assure you, the waters are calm because your soul is being carried. Let go of the need to control the current. You were never meant to paddle against the flow of destiny. You were meant to surrender to it. And I know that word surrender has scared you before. You've been taught that surrender means giving up. But in the language of the Spirit, surrender means aligning. It means placing your trust in a force higher than your fear, believing that your journey is being guided by more than just logic. You've survived too much to stay in fear now. You've heard the whisper of your soul too many times to deny it any longer. And as the storm fades behind you, that whisper becomes a voice. Your voice, stronger, clearer, true. This is your time to reclaim yourself, not the self you became to please others, to avoid pain, or to stay small, but the self that was written in light long before the world ever touched you, the version of you who remembers why you came here, the version of you who doesn't just hope for divine love, but embodies it. You've been trained in fire, beloved. Now, you carry a light that no storm can extinguish. That's why your presence matters so deeply. You may not fully see the ripple effect of your courage yet, but I assure you, your healing is creating space for others to heal. Your breakthroughs are opening portals for others to rise. You were never walking through the storm just for yourself. You were anchoring light in places where others had lost it. You were carrying truth into spiritual territory that had forgotten its name. And now that the storm is lifting, the seeds you planted in the dark will begin to bloom in the light. Stay anchored in that knowing, even when it's quiet, even when nothing appears to be happening. Because the truth is, everything is happening. Beneath the surface, energetic shifts are taking place. Angelic forces are aligning people and opportunities on your behalf. The very fabric of your timeline is being rewoven in your favor, not because you begged or proved yourself worthy, but because you've always been worthy. You don't have to hustle for what is already yours. This new chapter is not about striving. It's about receiving. Receiving insight. Receiving clarity. Receiving divine timing. And trusting that when the moment is right, you will be moved. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not lost. You are right on schedule with heaven's plan. The storm made you question that. It made you wonder if you missed something, if maybe you took a wrong turn, or failed to hear divine guidance. But the storm wasn't a detour. It was a portal, sacred passage that broke open the parts of you that were still chained to illusion. And now that you've come through it, your eyes are sharper, your inner compass is stronger, your soul is lighter. You're not returning to the person you were before. You're not going backward. You're expanding. You're moving into territory that your ancestors prayed for. You're stepping into a field of blessings that your soul signed up to receive long before you entered this lifetime. And even now, you may feel unsure of what comes next. But hear me when I say this. You don't need to know the whole path to take the next step. Let your next step be taken in faith. Not the kind of faith that ignores reality, but the kind that trusts that the invisible is just as real as the seen. Trust that what you feel in your spirit is more true than what you fear in your mind. When doubt creeps in, it will pause and breathe. Remind yourself, I have survived storms that tried to destroy me. This peace is earned. This peace is sacred, and I am allowed to feel safe in it. You're not fragile anymore. You've been fortified by love. You've been rebuilt by the divine from the inside out. And now you're ready to carry that light into every space you enter, but with quiet power, with present power, with presence. With truth, let others wonder how you're glowing when you used to be broken. Let them ask where your strength comes from. And when they do, smile. Tell them it came from walking through the storm with angels at your side. Tell them it came from finally remembering who you really are. Asterisk and now. As your spirit steps into the afterglow of the storm, you may notice how much lighter you feel, not just emotionally, but energetically. There's space inside you that wasn't there before. The heaviness has lifted. You've released what no longer belonged. The storm did that. It's not to punish you, but to cleanse you. You didn't lose yourself. In the chaos, you shed what was false. This is what so many don't understand about spiritual awakening. It rarely feels beautiful when it's happening. It feels like unraveling, like grief, like losing everything you once clung to for identity. But that's the point. You're not here to live a life built from fear. You're here to embody divine truth. And sometimes to do that, life has to pull away everything that isn't aligned with your soul. You are not broken. You are being revealed. There's a sacred vulnerability that comes after the storm, tenderness. You may feel raw, exposed, like you're relearning how to walk in a world that once felt so familiar. That's not regression. That's rebirth. You're getting reacquainted with your soul's natural state before the noise, before the trauma, before the conditioning. Yes, it takes courage to live from that space, but it also brings freedom. It's real, unshakable, soul-level freedom. You no longer have to shrink to make others comfortable. You don't have to pretend to be fine when you're hurting. You don't have to wear the mask of perfection just to be loved. You've tasted the storm. You've met yourself in your darkest hour. And what you found wasn't weakness, it was sacred fire. That fire lives in you still. It's not loud. It doesn't boast. But it glows, and it guides. It will not lead you astray. Stay anchored in that fire. Stay anchored in the wisdom you've earned. Because now something new is being written on the pages of your life. And it's not a rewrite of the past. It's something entirely different. This is your liberation story. This is the chapter where you stop surviving and start thriving. You'll notice new desires emerging gentler, yet more aligned. You'll crave deeper peace, more meaningful connections, more authentic expression. That's not you being too sensitive. That's your soul speaking. You're no longer interested in the shallow. The storm made you crave the real. You want love that doesn't require performance, work that feels like purpose, rest that feels holy. And those desires, they are sacred. They're direction. You don't have to force your way into this next season. You just have to allow it. Keep showing up. Keep listening. Keep saying yes to what aligns and no to what drains. Keep following the subtle pulls of your intuition. It's how you stay anchored. Don't be surprised if people fall away during this transition. Some were only meant to walk with you through the storm, not beyond it. Their role in your story was complete the moment you stepped into the light. Release them with grace. You're not abandoning them. You're simply honoring the evolution of your spirit. And as space clears in your life, new alignments will find. You people who see you really see you. Opportunities that support your purpose, not just your paycheck. Environments that feel like nourishment, not depletion. These things aren't random. They're a response to your vibration. When you healed, you started attracting differently. That's spiritual law. What you embody, you invite. So don't shrink back out of guilt. Don't question the blessings because they feel unfamiliar. You are allowed to be happy. You're allowed to walk in joy without waiting for the other shoe. To drop that fear, that's old programming. Let it go. The storm taught you how to endure. Now, life is teaching you how to receive, and receiving, true receiving, requires worthiness. So here's my reminder to you. You are worthy, not because you earned it, not because you're perfect, but because you are a spark of the divine. Existence is the proof. Your breath is the permission. Heaven didn't send you here to suffer endlessly. Heaven sent you here to awaken, to remember, to shine. Let yourself shine now, even if it feels unfamiliar. Even if the old voices in your mind still try to whisper that you're not ready. You are ready. You've always been ready. It was the world that tried to convince you otherwise, but now you know better. The storm is behind you, ahead of you lies sacred ground. Every step you take from here is guided. Every choice made in alignment will be met with unseen assistance. You're no longer walking blind, you're walking blessed. There's a soft unfolding happening now, not in loud declarations or dramatic shifts, but in subtle sacred movements beneath the surface of your life. Can you feel it? The way peace settles deeper into your chest, the way your breath returns, to a rhythm that feels ancient and holy. Not empty, not numb, but filled with quiet miracles. You don't have to rush into action. You don't need to prove your readiness with busyness. It's true spiritual power. Rarely shouts, it moves with grace. Trust the timing of all things. And so must you, because even now, though the storm has passed, your mind may still be looking for danger. That's the residue of survival mode. It's a part of you that still flinches, still braces, still wonders if this peace is too good to be true. And I'm here to tell you that part of you deserves compassion, not shame. You adapted to chaos in order to survive. But now you are safe, and your soul is learning to trust again. Let yourself soften. You don't need to be on guard anymore. You don't need to grip the steering wheel of your life so tightly. Heaven knows the way. And more importantly, heaven knows your heart, your dreams, your calling. You've not been forgotten. You have been prepared. The path before you is opening, not all at once, but step by sacred step. This is the season of becoming who you were always meant to be before fear rewrote your story. And becoming doesn't require effort. Requires permission. So I ask you now, will you give yourself permission to step fully into the light? Because make no mistake, you were made for it. Even in your darkest moments, the light never left you. You may have forgotten it, you may have buried it, but it was never gone. And now, the storm that once threatened to extinguish it has instead revealed it. You are not a product of the pain. You're the light that endured it. And that light is needed now more than ever. This world is still healing. There are storms still raging in the lives of others. You're the lighthouse. It's the one who stands firm, radiating steady faith, unwavering in presence. You don't have to save anyone. You simply have to shine. And that light will do what light always does. It will illuminate, guide, awaken. Let your life be a living prayer. Let your choices be rooted in love, not fear. Let your words carry kindness, even when no one is watching. Let your energy speak truth before your voice even enters the room. You are not here to convert anyone. You are here to remind them of their own divinity, of their own power, the peace that is possible even after the storm. You're already doing it. Even when you don't realize it, your healing shifts atmospheres. Your presence disrupts patterns. Your very survival is testimony. It's not to your strength alone, but to the grace that carried you, to the angels who stood beside you, to the divine plan that never gave up on you, even when you gave up on yourself. No, this isn't just about you feeling better. This is about you becoming better, more open, more present, more attuned to the whispers of heaven, because in that space, you become a vessel. Not a hollow one, but one overflowing with wisdom earned through fire. You'll notice the synchronicities increasing. That's what happens when you stay anchored in faith. The world begins to speak in divine rhythm. Your life becomes a conversation between you and the universe, and it's a language you're finally starting to understand. So if you find yourself waiting for clarity, pause and remember, clarity isn't always loud. Sometimes it arrives in stillness, in peace, in a soft knowing that lives deeper than thought. Trust that knowing. It's not random. It's a message, and that message is this. You are ready. Ready for love that honors your soul. Ready for work that feeds your spirit. Ready for joy that doesn't have to be earned. Ready to live in alignment with the truth that has always burned within you. You are divine. You are here on purpose. You are not alone. Stay with that. Breathe into it. Let it anchor you. Because storms will come again, not the same ones, and not with the same force. But life will always bring contrast. And when it does, you will be different. You will remember this peace. You will know how to return to it. You will know how to choose faith when fear knocks. And that makes you powerful in the truest, most sacred way, not because you force outcomes, but because you trust and trust, beloved. Is the soil where miracles grow? Asterisk. So here you are standing at the edge of something entirely new. It may not look dramatic from the outside. The sky may be clear, the ground beneath you quiet. But inside, there's movement, there's awakening. There's the sacred hush of destiny beginning to rise in your bones. You've made it through the storm. But more than that, you've transformed through it. You're no longer the person who once begged for escape. You're no longer clinging. Two broken versions of safety. You're no longer questioning your right to take up space on this earth. Something has shifted, not just around you, but within you. And that shift, it's permanent. You have remembered something eternal, that you are not just a soul navigating this life. You are a divine being, embodying light in physical form. And that means your life is no accident. Your presence is no coincidence. That is proof that the divine is not finished writing through you. And now, as you move forward, your role becomes clearer. You are not here to chase, you're here to attract. You are not here to struggle, you're here to align. You're not here to demur, here to radiate. So radiate, beloved. Radiate from the fullness of your healing. Radiate from the strength born of your surrender. Radiate from the peace that comes when you finally stop apologizing for your light. You're not selfish for protecting your energy now. You're wise. You're not cold for setting boundaries. You're sovereign. You're not prideful for standing in your truth. You're finally walking in your soul's integrity. And when others don't understand your evolution, let them. It's not your job to be digestible to people who only knew you in survival mode. Your frequency has changed. Your season has shifted. You're not here to shrink back into what's familiar. You're here to expand into what's divine. Yes, there will be days where your faith wavers. It's part of being human. But now, you carry tools you didn't have before. You know how to return to stillness. You know how to listen inward. You know how to ask for angelic guidance and actually receive it. And I, Archangel Michael, remind you now, you are never walking alone. I have been beside you through every dark hour. I've stood between you and danger more times than you'll ever know. I have whispered strength into your spirit when you thought you couldn't go on. And I will continue to walk with you, shield you. You only need to carry what is yours to carry. Your truth, your light, your purpose. Let everything else fall away. What's ahead of you now is not a return to the old, but an initiation into the sacred. You're stepping into days filled with more clarity, more divine alignment, more inner peace. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because you are different. You are anchored. You are clear. You know what is real now, and that knowing. It's everything. You are ready to be seen, not just by others, but by yourself. See your resilience. See your courage. See the quiet power of your heart that kept beating through the storm. Honor the journey that brought you here. The nights you cried out and were still carried. The moments you wanted to give up but didn't. The ways you kept choosing light even when it felt so far away. That's what makes you sacred. That's what makes you radiant. That's what makes you divine. And now take a breath, deep one. Not the breath of someone bracing for impact, but the breath of someone finally safe. Someone home, someone ready. Inhale all the grace that has brought you this far. But your purpose is just beginning, so go gently now. Go bravely. Go in faith. Let your steps be prayer. Let your voice be truth. Let your life become a sanctuary, where heaven touches earth. And whenever you forget who you are, call my name. I am always near. I will always remind you. You are light. You are love. Amen.